Hi, and welcome back to our Ask the Agronomist video series. I am Phil Long, Precision Agronomy Advisor with Latham High-Tech Seeds. And this week we're continuing our discussion on balanced soil fertility, specifically looking at high pH and what you can do about it. So if you're looking at a soil test and trying to determine, do I have high soil pH? Well, if you have a soil pH over 7.5, 8 especially, you definitely have high soil pH. Maybe it's not the whole field, maybe it's areas of the field, but those present challenges. And you've likely seen this all season long, stunted yellow crops in those areas, and it's obvious that they're struggling to get certain nutrients. It may only be certain micronutrients in small amounts, but it makes a huge difference when those plants can't get anything due to high soil pH and those nutrients being in an unavailable form. So what can you do about it? Is it possible to lower your soil pH? And the answer is no, unfortunately, unless you're growing something like blueberries, a high value crop. You can't spend enough money to get your pH down there, and it likely won't stay, because where we live at in Latham country in the upper Midwest, that's just the natural soil parent materials. It's there, it's going to come back. We have that higher amount of free lime or calcium carbonate in our soil. So liming, or I should say putting elemental sulfur down to try and lower that pH, you're going to probably be putting 5 to 10 tons per acre out there, which will put your nitrogen bill this year to shame, just to try and lower it a little bit, and it's not going to last. So it's better to work with Mother Nature than against her. So what are some of the things that we can do? So you can use some fertilizers that are more acidifying. So those meaning elemental sulfur, AMS, and even forms of phosphorus like MAP, monoammonium phosphate, that has a solution pH of around 4, 4.5. So those help when they go into the soil, acidify things a little bit for those plants growing in them. The other thing you can do is focus on just those rhizosphere areas of the soil, so where your plant roots are growing. So the first thing that you can do is banding nutrients. So anytime you can band nutrients close to the root surface in high concentrations, that leaves it a little less available to the soil or open to the soil versus broadcasting, where the soil has a lot of opportunity to put it in an unavailable form and mix with it and so forth. But if you're banding it, it's right there in that concentrated band, right where the root can intercept it. The other thing is pay attention to chelated fertilizers, especially on the micros. If you're having issues with micronutrients, chelated is one thing you really want to key in on and pay attention to. The one example I'll give is soybeans and IDC, and it applies to any of them if you're trying to put micros on. So if you're using a product like Soy Green or something, if you look at the label, it will say EDDHA, or ortho chelated form of iron. That's important because that ortho form is what you should be using when you have high pHs, so above 7.5. There's different forms of chelation that work at different soil pHs, but high soil pH, you want that ortho form to keep it available to the crop. So think of that chelator as kind of a school bus. It loads up all the nutrients in it and brings them right to the root hair surface, and then kind of delivers them so the plant can take them up, and then it can go back and do its job again. So chelates and chelations, they protect that nutrient till it gets to the root surface. So that's a great thing. The other thing I'd also mention is pay attention to biologicals. Put them in the root zone, right where the plants right where they're affecting the soil that plant root is growing in. And then the other thing is look at cover crops, because cover crops are growing in that same rhizosphere, and they're also affecting it all season long. So we plant a crop just during the main window of the season, but a cover crop, those roots a lot of times grow several months before and after our main cash crops are growing. So they're also doing some of the things that our plants are doing, those root exudates that acidify the soil and make those nutrients more available. So think about those things for the upcoming seasons. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at 1-800-GO-LATHAMS or visit us at our website at lathamseeds.com. Thanks for watching this week's Ask the Agronomist.